You ever seen a piranha? They don't look anything like a piranha.
Yeah. Oh, who are we gonna call? Critter Busters?
Dad's all torn up and Mom's got like a harpoon thing in her neck and they're getting bigger.
They'll eat anything.
Those, man-eating hairballs that you do not believe in.
Critters. They bite.
You've seen them wreak havoc on Earth.
Hairballs.
Those 2 eggs are the last 2 eggs. You are instructed to place the eggs in the pot.
The last 2 eggs were launched into orbit.
It won't scan. I can't tell you what's inside.
And now they're having a blast.
He's going for the pod.
In outer space.
That's the critters!
I'm a bounty hunter.
You've been floating around in that pod for over half a century.
The killer hairballs have relocated.
I got him!
Congratulations, Charlie. You have just murdered the ship.
Get another ship.
It's the only ship, you idiot!
And have a new place to play.
What are these?
Those are eggs. They've been busy.
They're dining from an all-new menu of cosmic cuisine.
You know, those, man-eating hairballs that you do not believe in. They are real close.
I'm leaving.
But they'd rather eat on Earth.
I propose that we just hole up here and wait for them to come rescue us.
Albert, company.
Hey, hold.
Where are the eggs?
You do not come in here with your goddamn stormtroopers.
Someone must cooperate.
I hear you wanted these?
The eggs.
These are the last ones.
Critters 4. They're invading your space.
Chill out, asshole.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of They Bite, the best and only podcast for critters in the world. I'm Sean, again, and Chris. Hey guys. There he is. And today we're going to discuss Critters 4.
Yes,
and,
a very underrated sequel.
And we're going to convince you of that because every fan, Chris, for the longest time, you were the only person that stood up for Critters 4. I almost, in the back of my head, I was like, he just feels like he has to.
No, I don't know. For the longest time, I felt like I liked it more just because everybody else hated it so much.
Yeah.
But then I started thinking about it, and I was like, that's not the reason why I like it. I like it for so many more reasons.
It is a great movie. Now, it's probably a good thing, but I am one of the people that didn't like it for years. I felt it was incredibly boring as a kid. I've seen the first 3 movies hundreds of times, literally, easily. And I guarantee I've probably only seen Critters 4 maybe less than 15 times, up until yesterday, where I've watched it 4 times in the past 2 days.
I will say that this one is the one that I've seen the less amount as well. But over the past maybe 10 years, I have seen it a lot more than I did when I was little.
Honestly, I mean, I'm 30 now, and I just watched this movie 4 times in a row. It has a lot of replay value. I do zone out still and get distracted during some scenes because there is, I don't want to call it filler, but that some of it definitely is. But the movie starts out pretty freaking boring.
Yeah, it does. It's a very character-driven movie, and once Charlie comes into it, that's when everything starts picking up.
Exactly. Because the characters, in my opinion, not all of them are very interesting, or it doesn't give you too much reason in the first 20 minutes to find them that interesting, unless you're just impressed that it's Brad Dourif. the most interesting one I would say is the asshole, Captain Asshole.
Really, I actually liked the character of Ethan a lot more than I did his character.
You like Ethan? No, he does have more dynamic than most of the characters, but I don't care about him too much.
See, I found it very interesting that each one of these characters are driven by something. Maybe not the female. I can't think of her name now. Fran. She might be the only one that's not really driven by anything, but everybody else has a purpose and a reason to go somewhere and do something.
That's true. I'll give you that. Almost. Yeah. Yeah, I could see where you're going from on that. I don't know what Fran's deal is at all, honestly. In fact, you're going to have to fill some things in for me because I do zone out at point. What is this ship's mission? Are they just a bunch of, like drifters that pick up shit and then try and resell it?
Yeah, basically. They're scavenger ship. They just float around and they search for garbage and whatever they can find that they can resell and make money off of.
It sounds like a fun job. Yeah, honestly. That's pretty cool. But, so, they end up finding the pod that Charlie gets trapped in at the end of part 3.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much they just have a discussion over, they just grab it so they can resell it pretty much, right?
Yeah, the main guy wants to sell it, and because he thinks from where it's so old, and that the character of Ugg is actually looking for it, and they find the ship, and they say, you have one of our vessels, we need you to bring it to us. And the main guy that runs the ship, he's like, you know what, if they're looking for this and they think it's that important, there's something special in here, we need to sell it. And the other crew members, they don't want to sell it. They think that it's a bad idea. They just want to get it to the Ugg's new ship and give it back to them because it's rightfully theirs.
The irony is that the quote unquote bad guy was right.
To an extent, yes.
To an extent, I mean,
because either way has a bad outcome.
Yeah. Either way, it does have a bad outcome, but for them, that probably would have been the choice to make.
But I do want to say one thing, though. Most people don't like this movie because of the less amount of critters it has in it compared to the other films.
In a way, though, after watching it the past 2 days, there isn't that much lacking of critters. But there is and there isn't. The moments that they're there just really count. There's no critter filler, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm still torn. I on the right day, I would definitely like this movie more than Part 3. Part 3 is a total popcorn movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it was ballsy for them to end on this note. It kind of told me that they cared more about the story and the plot than they did just giving people a bunch of critters again.
Yeah.
You look at other movies like Ghoulies, which just after Part 2 just didn't know what to do and didn't care, so they just tried anything.
Yeah.
And Critters 4, to me, it tells me that they did care, even though everyone we talked to kind of acts like it wasn't too big a deal. You can tell they did with this movie.
Yeah, but I feel that they did love the story. They wanted to have a serious story to end it on, and they took it 100% serious. But there's also this where it's like they compare it to Alien so much, where it's almost like a ripoff of Alien, but in a different franchise.
I guess it kind of is, too, because the people in the first Alien are kind of a scavenger ship, too, correct?
Yeah, and they even use the tagline of "In space, they love to hear you scream." So it's a take on the Alien tagline. So
I grew up loving Alien. That's another one of my favorite, movies. And I never really made the comparison so much with Critters 4 because it just makes sense to me that it goes back to space since the first one started there.
Yeah.
But I never watched Star Wars growing up. And the first time I watched it was maybe 3 years ago. And I did it just so that I could finally say that I did. And I'm talking about the original movie that came out.
Everybody's going to hate me, but I've never seen it.
Okay, well, wait, if you ever do, you're going to realize that this Star Wars movie completely rips off Critters 4. Like, all of it, like, hardcore, dude. I don't know why it's more popular, honestly. No. The scene where they fall into the, help me out here, man, like the dumpster thing.
Yeah, it's just a dump chute.
Yeah, that happens in Star Wars. It's like completely rips it off. Everyone listening now is not surprised by this. Everyone knows. But yeah, there's so many scenes to the point where I'm almost thankful that Brad Dourif makes that comment at the end about Ugg showing up with his damn stormtroopers, because
Yeah.
they really do take a lot from it. You're right about the alien thing, but I don't think it's as noticeable.
Yeah, I think maybe a lot of people just compare it to Alien just because it's a spaceship with alien monsters on it.
I look at Alien, it could be a B movie, but it's not. And I look at Star Wars as a B movie. Like, when I finally did see Star Wars, I was like, this is fucking stupid. It's like,
I still think
have no idea. What's that?
I said I still think that. I've never seen it.
Yeah, I knew I would, but I did want to go into it liking it, but it was just, I think you have to see it as a kid, because that movie was fucking stupid. and it ripped off Critters 4, and that's all I got to say about it. But yeah, so, movie does have Brad Dourif.
It does.
Which I think, for how much everyone focuses on how Leo is in this franchise, Brad Dourif, he's Chucky, man.
Yeah, and it also has Angela Bassett, who plays Fran, which I don't really watch a lot of stuff she's been in, but I know she's one of those Academy actors that is in a lot of really good stuff.
Really, I had no idea. You do see her butt in this movie, though.
Yeah, well, I heard rumors that that was a stunt double, and I'm not sure if it's true or not.
I believe it.
If I ever meet her, I'm going to ask her, were you nude in Critters 4? Was that your butt?
Yeah. Was that a stunt butt? I believe it, because the butt that they show is not that great, I have a feeling her butt would have been better, so I'm going to say that.
It was a stunt butt.
Yeah, and she's really famous, so we'll never get her on the show, so I don't feel bad saying it.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll never get her on the show. I'll try, but I probably won't succeed.
Yeah, she's like, no, I heard the episode about my butt. I'm not kidding. Nah, that'd be great. But everyone hates this movie, and I'm convinced now completely it's better than Critters 3. It's not better than 1 or 2, but it is better than 3. And it kicks ass. It's not like a good, bad movie or anything. It's actually a really good movie. And I think people need to go into it maybe with a different mindset, maybe not watch it right after the other movies, and look at it kind of on a standalone film, because it has the 2 best kills in the franchise, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. It does have, well, at least one for me. The scene with the guy that goes in with the medicine and takes all the medicine out, and the critters jump him from behind. That is my single favorite death scene in any of the Critters films.
Me too. Bernie.
Bernie, yeah.
That scene it's beautiful. The walls are completely white. It has all these colorful pills. I won't even go into, I work at a pharmacy, and the whole pills thing, it's ridiculous how he knows what everything is. But when he spills them, the colors on the floor, and then when the Krites come out, and they're just fucking him up. And they don't make it comical like in part 3, where the Critter's on Frank, and he's kind of whirling around like, whoa, 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 whoa. Right, it's, and then, when Charlie's, they hear him getting eaten, and Charlie and them are all going towards, and Charlie's describing they're going to come for your face, and then it goes back to Bernie, and you see it, chomping into his chin a little bit,
Yeah.
And it's the most serious death in the franchise, I think, too. It's drawn out. And it's just, he starts wiping the blood all over the walls. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and then they got the critter footprints in the blood, like weaving away from the
Yeah, I love
scene.
that. I love that. Everything about that scene is so perfect. Now, the other death, because there are only 2 deaths in this movie as far as people getting killed by critters. Actually, I take that back.
There's a few stormtroopers in it.
Yeah, but it's kind of an off-camera thing.
Yeah.
But that is what's nice about these 2 deaths, so they are on camera. The other one is the baby Crate death, which it goes in the dude's mouth, and you see that shot kind of from the back of the throat as the critter's like biting towards it and going for the uvula.
Yeah, it's a really good shot. It looks painful as can be, too.
Oh, dude, it's so awesome. And then when it shows his mouth, with his cheeks just puffed out, he pushes Charlie out of the way. I almost wish the scene with Charlie kind of pointing at his mouth like, you got something there wasn't there, because the scene is very dark, and that they just throw that little bit of lightheartedness in it.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. That is just so freaking badass. And then the other one's just munching on his arm.
And you want him to get it too, because he's such a dick to all the other people on the ship. And even whenever Ethan's character goes down to see what was going on with the gun or something that was going off and checking on it, and he hits Ethan with that giant freaking hook or whatever that thing was. And,
yeah, the guy's a total piece of shit.
Yeah. So you want him to get it, and then the second he opens that thing up, the critter latches on, you're just rooting for him to be eaten. And it pays off. It's a good payoff.
It does. Like, the first 20 minutes are pretty much just setting up you hating this guy for this, like, it was almost like to put this really graphic death scene in, they're like, well, we have to really make sure people hate this guy so no one feels bad. Because he even, like, kind of sexually harasses Fran.
Mm-hmm.
It pretty much is an asshole to everybody except the other person who dies, Bernie. And it kind of sets him up a bit for you wanting him to die too, I guess. I don't know. It's if you hate junkies.
Yeah, Bernie's a dick, but he's a likable dick.
Yeah, he's a more likable dick. Yeah. But yeah, those 2 scenes alone, I think, make this movie so much better than what people make it out to be.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
The baby critters are awesome. I love when the one gets his hair shot off. We all call him Bald Larry.
Bald Larry. The only thing I don't like about that scene, like, I love the baby Krites, and I love the way that they look and stuff, and the attack sequence, but when they roll over on top of the back of the body they just eaten out, you can totally see the strings pulling them off when they start to roll away.
See, I only watched the VHS. I don't even think I've seen this movie on DVD, so I've never noticed. I've seen it on Laserdisc. But I love that shot when the one rolls up and kind of chuckles at the other one's hair. I fucking love that scene. Almost the only real humor in this movie comes from the critters too. It's just a real subtle thing. It's not a comedy.
Yeah, I like how Charlie is trying to get the gun to work, and it just accidentally shoots the hair off of it. It's great.
Yeah. Charlie in this movie is awesome. By the way, they don't lose sight of the character. The reason he's our hero is because it's so easy to, like, put yourself in his shoes. He's not really that good at it. Half the time it's just luck on his side, like dumb luck. He's clumsy as shit. He knows what he's doing, but he's still like,
That's what's so good about it. Like, that's what makes his character so great, is the fact that he has no idea what he's doing, but he's doing it anyways because it needs to be done.
Yeah, so you can put yourself right in that shit. That's why he's the real, like, underdog, like a real classic underdog hero, only portrayed in such a more realistic light than most places, movies or shows have done it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's great in this movie.
Yeah, and his character opens the movie too, because it's a continuation from Part 3 with the to be continued thing. It just re-shows the ending of Part 3, but without the credits.
It's what do you think of Angela?
Angela. Well, 2 things. One is I find it hilarious that they named the machine that talks, the spaceship machine or whatever, robot, they named it Angela, and the lead actor, her name is Angela. So I thought it was funny that every time when she walks in that ship and she's like, Angela, I feel like she's talking to herself, and it makes me laugh. I feel like they did that on purpose just because.
I mean, I never made that connection, honestly.
Yeah, I laugh every time. I guarantee I'm probably the only person that laughs at it too. But there's a scene where she like walks into the spaceship and she's like, Angela, and I was like, I just, it makes me laugh because she's just calling out her own name. And it's funny. It's used in a good way because it actually moves the story along. It helps set up the ending. It helps set up, the characters finding their way around different parts of the ship. So I like it. I think it's a good addition to the movie.
It does add a little bit of humor to it, too. And it's a nod to, I believe it's a nod to Space Odyssey. So that's 3 sci-fi movies, that this movie makes direct nods to, I would say. Alien, Space Odyssey, and Star Wars. And I mean, you could always say that Critters are a nod to Triples. So let's just throw Star Trek in there, too.
Yeah, it also, because of that computer, it throws in one of the funniest lines in the movie, which is done by Albert, Brad Dourif's character, whenever he's trying to figure out how to get the spaceship to open up doors, and he says the opposite thing. He's like, just like my ex-wife. Everything I say, she does the opposite.
Yeah, that is one of the funniest lines.
I love that scene, that moment.
Yeah, I don't know. I understand why this movie gets the hate it does, because I was on that level for years. But going back into it, I absolutely love it now. I don't know what I was missing. Maybe it's just such a different tone from the others that it doesn't really fit the vibe. But I don't know.
It doesn't at all. But I think what people need to do is they need to go into this without considering it being a Critters movie at first and just watch it as a story-driven drama. And they will fall in love with these characters, and then, holy crap, there's Critters involved now. And then you start feeling for these characters a little bit more, then you start liking them, the Critters in them, and you just see it for a whole different view. And that's the way I did. I think there was that time, sometime in my life, when I just put that in there and just started watching it as a drama with these characters, and that made me like it a lot more.
I think the first time I watched it on Laserdisc a few years back was the first time I went into it with the right mindset and enjoyed it for what it was. Because when you're a kid, especially, you're just watching these movies, the dialogue, you're not paying no fucking attention to it,
Yeah.
You just want to see the damn critters. And this movie feels like it's not giving it to you. And so you could walk away from it just being like, God, that movie just tooled with me the whole time and didn't give me almost anything I wanted. But if you actually care about the characters, like you said, the ship's fucking up, there's more things that they're worrying about than just the critters. They're honestly not even the biggest threat in the movie,
Yeah, I will say this, though. I think one of the main reasons why I love the movie so much is because of what it sets up for Charlie.
Yeah, how do you mean that?
We'll discuss the ending a little bit later on, I think, but the ending, when you find out what happens to Charlie and Ugg, it is one of the most devastating things that happens in the franchise, and my heart sinks every single time. Well, let's go ahead and talk about it, I guess. So Charlie is throughout the entire movie pretty much. Well, he starts off at the beginning, then there's like that 20-minute gap, and then he comes back and he's for the rest of the movie. And like you said, he's bumbling and everything and gets pure luck with half the stuff that happens, but it makes you love him a lot more. And then you find out that Ugg is still there. And Charlie doesn't know this yet. So they're going the whole movie going to this place where Ugg is, and Charlie has no idea. And then finally, Ugg arrives, and Charlie meets him. He's like this evil head of corporation or whatever. And Charlie doesn't know that. And Charlie's just like, Ugg, hey! And he tries to be his friend again. And Ugg doesn't want anything to do with him. And you're just...
Well, he just, like, looks straight ahead, almost, It's like, doesn't even give him a look like he remembers him, almost.
Yeah, and he basically is like, what happened to you? And Ugg, things change, Charlie. Things change. And they continue hunting for the eggs and trying to, kill everybody just so they can get those eggs. So Charlie has to do what he has to do, and it leads to a scene where Ugg points a gun at Ethan's character and is threatening to kill him to get those eggs. And Charlie points a gun back, and just in time he shoots Ugg point blank and says, "Things change, so do people." And he has this most like heart-sinking look on his face, and I feel for his character so much because it gives so much empathy for him and his character, and you have to love it. And like everybody hates the fact that Ugg turned evil, but I love it because it puts Charlie at being such a better person. And out of all the stuff that Charlie went through, he didn't turn evil. He stayed the same person all the way through, no matter what was in his way, what obstacles he had to go through.
I definitely never hated that Ugg went evil. Even as a kid, I don't think I hated the plot to this movie or how it ended the franchise. I probably just wasn't as entertained by it as I wanted to be. But yeah, that ending is very awesome. What do you think of like the genetic engineering little side plot that's going on?
I think what it is this company is looking for a creature that they can have with them or whatever that they can release onto other planets to kill or destroy anything that they need. Like they're looking for that ultimate predator that can reproduce
so
on
pretty
its
much
own.
It is a rip-off of Alien.
And they were searching for critters to do it, but from the last event in Critters 3, they'd killed all the Christ except for those eggs, and those eggs were put into space and got lost with Charlie. So now that they found it, that's the only remaining eggs in the entire existence of the universe, and they have to get those or they're never going to get their specimen that they want to make.
I think it makes for good scenes with the critters when they're. I love the one scene where the critter's on the keyboard.
Yeah. And, his arms are just like flopping back and forth, not actually hitting any buttons. It's like important.
I know. He's so cute. I love him. His voice is different from all the other critters in the movies as well. He has a very deep voice. He's got like a Louis Armstrong, like, it's very cool.
If Louis Armstrong met the aliens from Mars Attacks.
Yeah, definitely right. And also, I love the critters in this movie. I know that the Kyoto brothers have said that they just reused the critters from Part 3, but I would imagine they're from the same mold, but they do look at it a little different. And also, they always said that they were on such a budget with this movie, and I think people always believe it because there aren't enough shots of critters, but there are a lot of monsters in this movie. When they go into the genetic room, there's monsters in there. They definitely made new baby critters for this movie because it doesn't even show the baby critters in Part 3, really.
Yeah. And you get a hilarious shot too of a new alien or whatever kind of alien it is in the garbage chute when Charlie and Ethan get dumped in there. And he comes up and he's looking for his gun and he starts to grab it and he's like, ah! And there's a little tiny alien. He's like, oh, it's dead. It's dead.
Yeah, like that scene there. Yeah, that's a good example. And they must have made a new critter for when the crate is taking a baby critter and making it grow. Mm-hmm. They do go into something in this movie real quick saying that they can't figure out if critters are asexual or not.
Yeah.
And what I think is interesting is that you do have two crates in this movie, and they don't try to reproduce together to make eggs or anything. They just instantly go into this lab and know to, in fact, I don't even know. Where do they get the initial baby crate to start zapping and making bigger? Is that not really explained?
I think it's just probably left over like an egg that they had and they were using it and they were experimenting with it and they couldn't, it was just something that they just couldn't perfect. So that's why they had to get more critters, because they needed those eggs because they ran out.
Oh, I love that line where the two critters are talking to each other and the one says, I'll drive the ship, you get the kids, or something like that. So cute. They roll away.
Yeah, I like that scene
the
where
knocks over a garbage can.
Oh, yeah, I laugh every time. Like it rolls down that corner and it hits that garbage can. I'm like,
I love that.
someone didn't have a good aim when they were throwing that whole basketball.
Yeah, but they left it in, and I think it's even better that they left it in. It rules.
Yeah, but I like the scene where the one critter is going after the kids, and it goes into the spaceship room where Charlie is, and Charlie's like, I'm a bounty hunter. I got to kill this thing. It's going to kill all of us if I don't. So he starts shooting around, and he, kills the ship, and everybody is pissed off. He's like, I got it. He was so happy that he killed that thing.
But I got it.
Yeah, but I got it. And we could just get another ship, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I always feel really bad for him in that scene. Honestly.
I do too. I was like, oh, poor Charlie. He tried.
I feel bad for the critter that gets shot there too.
Not only does it get shot, but it gets electrocuted. Like.
Yeah. It goes down so easily.
He was just taking orders from his boss, Krite.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
It was just a throwaway character.
Yeah, definitely. So when Brad Dourif gets killed, I think that's kind of interesting because in a way it kind of sets up like a father-son dynamic between him and Ethan, to the point where Ethan even at one point kind of scolds him, for parenting him.
Yeah.
And
they set that up at the beginning of the movie when Ethan is wearing those boots. Right, I mean, like the very first 10 minutes of the movie, well, after Charlie's part, but the very first part of the spaceship, the first 10 minutes, when Ethan's character is going in to help out, Ethan has those boots on, and Albert is going to go find him, and he finds him in the hallway, and he's like, where'd you get the boots? And he's like, you said I could wear them. And he said, not now, put them back.
Yeah, exactly.
And that kind of sets up the whole, like, father figure thing where he's telling him to do something, and nothing that's revolving around the ship or anything. It's just something else extra that he's just telling him to do something as a father figure. And then later on that leads to the part where Ethan is scolding him, saying, he yells at him, you're not my father. But I think Ethan looks at him as a father, even if Brad Dourif's character doesn't.
See, I think he does too, definitely. And that's why I know that they're in the moment and they have something to do, but there's not much of a grievance period for Brad Dourif's character, and it's not like the other two guys who die, who, they figured, they probably didn't like them too much, they were assholes. I don't know, I always thought that was strange. He just goes right down and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it sets up the end plot of the movie because Ethan wants to go back to him and, have that moment with it. And he wants to take his glasses and everything, but then the last critter comes and attacks him, and he has to defend the critter off.
You're right, I forgot about that.
And it's actually one of the coolest deaths to a critter in the entire franchise, too, with that freeze gun or what. It's something that has to do with like a ship or something, part of a ship.
I never put too much thought into what it actually is. I just know what it does to the critter.
It's like a hydraulic thing. I don't know what it is, but it's something with the ship, and it's really cool.
I hope they didn't actually ruin the prop to smash it in that one scene. But I've never seen anybody who owns it, the frozen critter.
I haven't either, but it's really cool that he can just freeze it and then drop kick it and it shatters. I like how whenever it drops to the ground, it doesn't shatter, but then when he kicks it, it shatters.
Yeah, yeah. No, that is a badass stuff.
But then he goes over and tries to take the glasses from Brad Dourif's character, and then again he's interrupted once again by Ugg, who sets up the whole scene with Charlie.
Yep.
So it's just plot, I guess. They tried to move it along with plot. There's more action instead of having another moment. They just wanted to move it along, I guess.
Yeah, the movie is very short, and it's strange if you're not into it. It feels like a very long movie, but it's a very freaking short movie.
Yeah, and how long do you think that opening is with Charlie that is from Critters 3? About 10 minutes?
Oh, 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah, it takes up a good portion of the movie.
This movie would probably be about right at an hour if you take out that whole opening scene that was already seen in Critters 3.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I would fast forward the movie pretty much right to the scene before Charlie shows back up.
So yeah, you take out the 10 minutes of Charlie at the beginning, take out the end credit sequence, which is about 5 minutes, and you got about an hour's worth of a movie there.
Yeah. And I used to hate the scenes where just the kid and Charlie were trying to get through the ship and whatnot. Because I just, you're thinking critters are going to show up and they don't, but no, I have a newfound love for the movie. I think your critter that you have, the replica that was cast from a prop,
yeah,
I think he looks more like a Part 4 critter than a Part 3.
Really, I feel like he looks like the one, Blackie from Part 3, the one that's screaming, that does that yell.
I think that it's one of the ones that pops out right before Bernie gets killed.
It could be. Either way, it looks awesome.
Oh, I know it does, yeah. It's the same mold for both movies, but there's this one specific shot when they pop out to, startle Bernie before they kill him, where I was like, dude, that's, the same pose that Chris's Kite is in.
If I'm not mistaken, I actually think that, don't they use a shot of a critter from Critters 2 in this as well? Not a shot, but I mean the puppet. The puppet that is used to attack the grandma in Critters 2 at the refrigerator?
I think that's in Critters 3 you're thinking.
Oh, is it? I feel like I was gonna say I feel like it's used in another shot in another movie, and I was thinking it was this one.
And Critters 3, when it zooms in after Leo's dad is killed, those critters are not the same ones that are being used throughout the film. They're the same mold as the one that's attacking the grandma in Part 2.
Okay.
And there's also another scene where they turn the corner and in the hallways, and one starts kind of biting at them, and that's definitely one from Part 2 as well. And I know we've asked the Kyoto brothers, and they said that they didn't reuse any of the molds for Part 2, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, I feel like they probably had some extra critters or something in a box. They just brought it with them, and they weren't paying much attention to what they were using.
Me too, because those are not the same ones that are used throughout the film.
Yeah.
It's some extra ones from Part 2 show up in a few shots. Yeah.
There is a theory about this movie, and I don't know if you've heard it or not, but the theory is that the Ugg that is in this movie isn't the same Ugg that was in 1 and 2. The theory is that it's a shapeshifter or a bounty hunter, because they can, take on different faces, took on the face of Ugg for the purposes of collecting the critter eggs and stuff.
That's a good theory, but what can they really base it on outside of the fact that it could be?
It's only based because of Ugg being evil. That's the only theory it is.
Yeah, I think it's him.
One thing, doesn't he actually say his name as being Counselor Tetra? Whenever the video comes on with them chatting to all the crew, saying, you have our vessel or whatever, doesn't he say, "Hi, I'm Counselor Tetra"?
Gosh, but isn't that, what's the name of is it Terracor or something?
Terracor, yeah.
Gosh, I really don't know. I mean, we really never learned Ugg's name, last name, I guess, technically, if he had one.
Yeah. If somebody out there has recently watched the movie and they've seen that particular scene I'm talking about, let us know, because it's something that you probably wouldn't pay much attention to unless you were looking for it. But if Ugg actually says I'm Counselor Tetra, let us know, because I'm eager to know that after thinking about this now.
Yeah, me too. I have a feeling he does. I don't think he calls himself Ugg until Charlie brings it up at the end.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is when Ugg says things change, Charlie, it's almost like he doesn't see, if somebody was to say that, it's so vague that he could say that to somebody and not know anything about that character. So if it was a different Ugg, all he has to say is just say, well, things change, and Ugg wouldn't know anything about him, so Charlie's not going to know any difference. He's just going to think the character changed. It's a good theory. It's a good theory. I don't necessarily buy into it.
Probably. No, I don't really buy into it, but it could definitely. branch off from it if they really wanted to make a movie that took place after the fact.
Yeah, like if they wanted to bring Ugg back, they could bring Ugg back and just be like, I don't know, there's somebody who attacked me and he's wearing my face. If you see him, don't, be aware.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a bad theory. But I like the fact that Ugg goes bad. I wouldn't want it to be. I like the way this movie ends.
I do too. I love that.
I like the way the franchise ends with it.
And I've said that many times before. I don't know if I've said it in any other podcast or not, but that scene with Charlie shooting Ugg is my favorite moment of the entire franchise. Not Critter moment or anything like that. Favorite moment completely out of the entire franchise.
It is awesome. And you know what is great too is that the series that's coming out takes place before this movie. So this will always be the end of the franchise.
Yeah.
And if this movie didn't come out and we somehow got the Critters TV series and then years later somehow this movie were to have been written and somehow they could have gotten Terrence Mann, et cetera, I think that people would appreciate the plot and the way it ends the franchise a lot more. I think it came out too soon after Part 3.
Yeah, well, it was filmed back-to-back, so.
It was. And I think that the timing was just off, but I think that we're really fortunate to have it.
Yeah.
But I think that that's a better way to go into looking at this movie as well.
Yeah. From where it takes place in the future, it's hard to set up anything in between that, and I'm really looking forward to see what they do with that, the TV series, setting that up between the two films.
Yeah, me too. I don't think it'll probably go too much into Charlie or Ugg. So, look at it as the TV series came out. It was great, but we didn't ever find out what happened to Ugg or Charlie. And then, 20 years later, Critters 4 came out. Look at it that way, and I think you will appreciate this movie a lot more.
Yeah. You know something that I was always confused by in this movie? There's a line in it when Charlie gets out of the spaceship. You know how he passes out and they take him back to the main ship part? And he's like looking at his driver's license and saying, oh, this is my driver's license. And he says, it expires next year. And Bernie's like, no, it's 50 years later. Everybody you know is dead.
Yeah,
it's like, no, it's just because it's 50 years doesn't mean everybody's dead. Like, Brad Brown would be like in his 70s or 80s or something probably.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm sure maybe like the sheriff, like Sheriff Harvester would probably be dead, of course, but Brad and Megan Morgan, they'd still be there.
Yeah, his best friend Brad would probably still be very much alive.
Yeah, and, the little kid from 3, Leo's character from 3, and...
Yeah, I don't know why they always jumped right to that conclusion either, but it is still kind of a sad scene. It shows how good of an actor he is. I love where he goes, well, I can live with that.
Yeah, I love it. It's definitely heartfelt again. It's again setting up that part for the ending. It makes you feel sad for Charlie.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, Charlie's a man.
I like the moment when Charlie, this makes me laugh every time, when Charlie's in that garbage chute and they're trying to get out and Ethan is like standing on top of his shoulders and like stepping on his face, and Charlie is like, he's like, open it, open the door, open it now. He has like this really like you can tell that he is like just uncomfortable being on like underneath someone's feet and like it's hurting and it's hard to hold him, and it's great. It cracks me up every time.
It is. There's something sad about the movie because we know it's the last time we're really ever going to see Charlie. And the note it ends on posts what we've already discussed, where, Ugg's killed and they're taken off from the ship. And the lady just kind of says to Charlie, like, now, Charlie, don't touch anything. It's like the end of a Scooby-Doo or something,
Yeah.
Ruh-roh, And then he does, and the movie ends on the strangest, like, techno-western roundup.
Actually sounds just like it. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good song.
No. Yeah, you did you write that? Because you sound just like it.
Well, thank you. Yes, I'm releasing the soundtrack next year.
Mentioning that, this whole movie, the score to this whole movie has a very Western feel to it.
It does.
Even the opening, the music to the opening, whenever the camera is like panning through the space going into the spaceship with Ethan sitting there.
Chuck Norris.
Yeah, it has this weird like.
Yeah, it's like ambient drone for most of the movie to tie in with the sci-fi, but then for some reason they wanted this Western feel.
Yeah.
And the movie itself never actually gets a Western feel. But yeah, like you said, in the opening scenes, it'll like go to the next scene, it'll be like fucking Chuck Norris or something.
And Charlie's got that like antique pistol, again making it feel like it's some type of Western cowboy.
Oh yeah. That, I would say
Ethan's
that's
got
the
those
only
boots.
way it really goes into it. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, there's something about this movie. It definitely wanted to put these Western elements into space.
Yeah.
I'm sure that they did that on purpose, actually, because, in the 50s, obviously, like what Toy Story goes on about, every boy wanted to be a cowboy, and then we went on the moon, and every kid wanted to be an astronaut.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is kind of interesting. I never really thought too much about it, but
and
it ends
Ethan,
on that note.
Oh, remember Ethan's watching a Western black and white show on the TV when the movie starts.
He is.
And he's never been to Earth, so he wants to go. I guarantee he wants to go to Earth not only just to see his dad, but because he wants to be a cowboy. He wants to run around the Old West.
He wants to, herd buffalo and
buffalo chips and moose shakes.
Buffalo chips, moose shakes, hog ties, some lassies.
You know what they should have done? They should have had like a machine in here that when you press the button that gives you food.
Yeah,
and he should have pressed the button or whatever, and it out would have popped a little wrapper with a burger in it that said like Hungry Heifer Burger.
Oh my God, this movie! I just can't imagine this movie referencing Critters 2.
That'd have been great. I would have done that. Like established in 1988.
Yeah. But that note that it ends on, always kind of disappointed me. That it ends on this like, oh, Charlie's just a big goofball.
Yeah.
They just, for how serious the movie is, why would it end on such a comical note?
I don't know, but it's a possibility that they just wanted to, from where it did end so serious with like the death of Albert and, Charlie being so upset, the spaceship exploding. They have really nowhere to go except for that one little tiny ship they just got. So maybe they did want it to be like, well, we got to end on a lightheartedness because we can't just have it straight out just upsetting.
I think you're right. That, and I don't think they knew how to end it.
Yeah, that's probably a bigger possibility.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, we did all that. Now what? Like, do these people become a family? Nah, probably not. So, Charlie just a big goofball. And so ends the franchise of Critters.
Yeah, I do like, if you sit through all the way through the credits, at the very end of it, you hear the growl of a critter in deep space.
You do?
Yep. If you sit through the credits, you hear it.
I don't think I've ever noticed for some reason. Yep. I do like the soundtrack in general to this movie, though. I do too.
I
don't know if it were to get a release, I don't know how long it would be. It's kind of hard to pan out how long tracks are.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is just drone.
Yeah, I emailed the guy who did the score for Critters 4, and he never got back in touch with me. So.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, well, that actually brings me up to something. An announcement that we didn't make at the beginning of the show. Somebody on the message or on the Facebook page said that they had contacted the composer to Critters 3. His name's David Williams. And a long time ago, I had contacted him as well, and he basically asked him, is Critters 3 soundtrack ever going to get a release? Because, a lot of people like it. And he basically told the guy, no, not yet, but there's a possibility since the TV show's coming out. And he basically told the same thing to me 2 years ago, except for the whole TV show thing. He just said, there's a possibility, I'm looking into it, don't know what's going to happen with it. So just out of nowhere, I was like, you know what, it's been a long time since I talked to this guy. I'm going to email him too, because maybe if he gets more emails about it, he'll be more eager to go and talk to somebody. So I emailed him and I said, hey, is there any news or updates on the Critters 3 soundtrack getting a release? And he actually gave me more detail than what he gave to the other guy. He said that there's a possibility with Critters 3 soundtrack getting a release based because of the TV series getting made. However, he is going to go and talk with somebody about it in a couple weeks because he is meeting with the producers of the original Critters films to discuss him possibly scoring the music for Critters: A New Binge TV series.
That's so awesome.
Yep. So that's news right there, actually.
I think that's great because Critters 3 is my favorite soundtrack.
Yeah, we all kind of agree that the score for Critters 3 is really, really good, and it's one of the best.
Yeah, there's something very Looney Tune-ish about it in a way, but classical still. It's awesome.
Which is why I chose to use that in the opening intro thing for the podcast.
That's true.
Yeah, well, that and because every time you ever see a podcast about critters or any type of special that somebody does on YouTube about critters, they always use the same like couple songs, like the Power of the Night or Hungry Heifer. And I was like, you know what? I want to be different. I want to be someone who knows more about the franchise. So I'm going to look deeper into the franchise and do something that doesn't get used much. So I use the soundtrack for Critters 3.
Yeah, it is a good one, and it's giving me more hope. That news right there is bigger news than it probably comes off as.
So in a couple weeks, we'll know more about the franchise or about the Critters: A New Binge coming out. Because not only will I get updates from David Williams, because he told me that he was going to keep me updated with what they say regarding the soundtrack release and whether or not he's going to be a part of A New Binge. So in a couple weeks, I'll know more about that. And also, Jordan Rubin, who is directing the series, also said that in a couple weeks, we'll know more about the series. So
that's awesome, man. That is great news. And if there's a likeliness that we'll get new soundtrack releases, I'm assuming it'll probably be on vinyl since that's the way things are going now. I am very excited to see what other merchandise we could possibly get.
Yeah. But a Critters 4 soundtrack would be awesome. Like, I'd love to have that.
I don't know how long the Critters 3 and Critters 4 soundtracks would really be. Would they be 40 minutes?
I doubt it.
So I would assume they would have to release maybe a record where side A is Critters 3 and side B is Critters 4, which I think would be awesome.
Yeah, either that or unless they had like pretty much the same music over again in like smaller adverts. Like track 1 would be like the opening, track 2 would be, Ethan's call, and then track 2 would be, or track 3 would be like, it goes through each scene of the movie, even though if they use the same score to it, you'd still get that same, like in the way that the movie was made.
Yeah. Oh, I'd be interested to see it. Another thing that we found recently, a girl contacted me and showed us a promotional shirt for Critters that was released in 1986, and on the back it has the what symbol is it, buddy? The New Line?
New Line / Columbia Pictures or something like that.
Yeah. And neither of us have seen this shirt before. It's a white shirt. It has the VHS cover of Critters on it, and then the back has, like most video rental store promo shirts, has the company that released it.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to see.
And you got me really excited because I thought you were setting me up to like be able to buy it. And then I was like, where'd she get it from? Is she selling it? And you're like, no, she's not selling it. And I was like, damn it, Sean.
Yeah. Yeah, this girl, I think her Instagram is Vintage Texas, VTG Texas. And she obviously specializes in cool vintage shirts, but she resells them for like $250 and prices up in that range, which those shirts honestly are worth and whatnot. And of all the cool shirts she has, she refuses to sell that Critters one, damn it. But it's still cool to see it and know that it exists, and that video stores were actually sent T-shirts.
Yeah, so that's something, we now know that Critters got some promotional material for video rental stores, and I didn't know that before.
No, not much. I mean, outside of the standees and, the stuff that we've seen for years, little buttons. But
So-
that shirt is a big one that we
So
never
I decided to go ahead and ask Mick Garris a question about this, anyways, because I was like, well, if Critters 1 got some promotional stuff, maybe Critters 2 did. So I sent Mick Garris a message and I said, hey, did you happen to have any promotional material made for Critters 2 for the set, such as like set crew shirts or crew chairs or anything like that? And he replied back and said that the only thing that they had was socks that had the Critters 2 written on it. And if you remember our interview with Leanne Curtis, she said she had socks. So we know that most of the crew members got a pair of socks with Critters 2 on it. So they're out there somewhere. I'm sure somebody has a pair that would be willing to sell it, but maybe one of these days we'll get a pair.
Random. of all things they made those socks. And have you even seen a picture of those ever?
I have not. I might ask Leanne Curtis to send a picture of them if she ever gets a chance, so I can.
That would be awesome. I want to say she said that they say the main course on them too.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd like to see all of it.
Hell, man, I'd pay $150 for a pair of those socks.
There you go, guys. If anybody has a pair of socks out there and want to make $150, call Sean.
Yep, damn right.
Yeah.
PayPal ready.
Oh, that brings me to something else too. When I was preparing for Critters 4, I decided to go ahead and watch the movie a couple times. And after I got done with it, I was like, I'm going to watch the trailers. I always go through all the different bonus material in the movies and stuff. And I went through and started watching all the trailers for it. And on the DVD for Critters 4, at least, I don't know if it's that way on all of them, but one for Critters 4, if you go to the bonus material for all the other trailers, has Critters 1, Critters 3, or Critters 2, and Critters 3. The logo for Critters 2 doesn't say Critters 2, the main course. It says Critters 2, they're back for seconds.
Yeah, which is strange. Is that tagline used sometimes in trailers or anything?
It was used for a couple different posters, I believe. But as far as I know, the trailers and stuff were all Critters 2, the main course.
Yes, but that's a very strange error.
Yeah, so maybe that might have been the original title. I know that the actual original title for the script was Critters 2, a call of the Critters or something like that. The Call of the Critters.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
So maybe the last draft or something like that when it was presented to the company was Critters 2, they're back for seconds, and then they decided to change it. So who knows? Maybe that might have been just in there listed in the promotional stuff or whatever. They decided to put that on there. I don't know.
I know. It's such a strange mistake to make, like 20 years after the movie came out.
Yeah.
On the DVD release of all things. Another thing, going back to this, that leads me to believe that it really is Ugg, is that when Charlie pulls the gun out, Ugg makes this comment, like, that's a nice antique, Charlie. Does it work? And then he starts making comments like, you won't be able to kill me. You don't have the guts. You never did, type thing. And he knows who Charlie is. That's when he starts letting out that he obviously remembers his time with Charlie.
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, and he's kind of insulting him and calling him a coward, too, which, it adds to the heartbreak in that scene.
Yeah, and that gun, I wonder if anybody has that gun, like in a prop store somewhere selling it.
That'd be fucking awesome.
I'd love to have it displayed with like the little bullets and then like a little case or whatever. That'd be awesome.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's actually quite funny when Charlie gets the gun, when he's like shooting the critter inside the ship and stuff, because Albert has like two reactions. He's upset that Charlie's shooting inside the spaceship, but he's also upset that Charlie is using the gun that he loves so much to do it as well.
Yeah, I know. He's so impressed. Like when he first gives it that gun, he's just so like, I have this antique gun, and Charlie just kind of picks it up, and looks it over, and is like, all right. Yeah. And it even says that they found it in one of their, while they were out, salvaging trash and shit, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And like Charlie grabs the gun, and like Albert's character is like all upset, but then he smashes the box and grabs the bullets, and he's like, "Oh!"
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a sweet movie, guys. Seriously, I hope everyone who listens to this goes back and rewatches it with a more open mind and appreciates it for what it is. And those scenes with the critters, everyone truly is gold.
Yeah.
It all makes up for it. 2 best kills in the franchise, a good wrap up on Charlie and Ugg.
Really funny dialogue with Albert's character.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's misunderstood.
I like how Albert's always frustrated with pretty much everything. Like there's a scene where Fran is talking to Albert about the nuclear core reaction, like the ship starts beeping and buzzing alarms and stuff like that. And Fran's like, I thought you said that the nuclear core was fine. And he goes, I don't know, Fran. Maybe it just changed its mind.
Yeah. Brad Dourif's character is really good in this. Like, he knows who he wanted to be, that's for sure.
You know what's weird about it, though, is I don't hear Chucky in it. I usually hear Chucky in, like, all of his performances, and I don't hear it in this one.
I agree, man. Even as a kid, I didn't watch this movie the first time and be like, oh, that's the voice of Chucky.
Yeah.
He's kind of, it's Brad Dourif's voice, but he's doing a character with the voice. You can tell it's not how he just talks normally. He's kind of got this nerdy, drawn out, like, thing going on. He kind of smacks his lips a lot, too. Is he always chewing gum, actually, I want to say?
What's it with Albert chewing gum all the time? Like, where did he get the gum from?
Yeah, really. Yeah, the one guy can... That's a very good point.
Do they ever eat in this movie? Nobody eats.
Nobody eats in this movie or anything. No. Yeah, I have no idea. The one guy just wants pills. The one girl takes a shower. That's about it.
Oh, nothing happens in this movie, Sean. I don't like it.
Yeah. I take it back. Everyone's right. This movie sucks. But seriously, I hope everyone goes back to it and sees it for what it is.
Well, Sean, maybe the viewer just changed their mind.
Well, I honestly don't know what more I can say about it.
What's your favorite critter scene? You said it was the one with the attack and the pills.
Yeah, like every shot, like there's a really cool shot where they're like where the one's mutating and growing, and I think like they would have done that with CG nowadays, and I think the animatronics on that critter is really cool. But that's a really hard one with this movie because I think literally every single shot of a critter in this movie is fucking cool.
Yeah, well, what's your favorite shot of a non-critter then? Favorite scene or sequence?
Well, that might be even harder. There isn't too much going on visually that's striking to me in this movie. Oh well, I guess just when Bernie's getting killed and just when they show up to the room and it's just got the blood streaks all over the white room.
Yeah,
that would definitely be it. How about you?
There is 2 sequences that I wanted to talk about. Well, I've already mentioned mine. Mine was the favorite scene with Charlie and Ugg.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. But there is 2 things that we almost forgot that I wanted to mention in this. And the first one is they make a mistake with the eggs hatching. Charlie says that it takes 6 weeks is it 6 weeks or 6 months to incubate?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't remember which one. One of those 2. He says it takes that amount of time to incubate. But in Critters 3, at the very beginning of it, the critter lays the eggs and it hatches underneath the car and then hatches in the building, and that's all in a matter of, hours.
Yeah, and in part 2, he just sets that little, floor heater next to the eggs and they hatch in, 30 minutes or something.
Well, those have been there for 2 years, though, so...
Okay.
I can kind of agree with that one. I think that was a little easier to explain away than the ones from Critters 3, because those were just laid.
True. Yeah, well, that is a good point. And I don't know what to say about it. Just that's just a big fuck up.
You ever seen a piranha? They don't look anything like a piranha.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite lines in the movie, actually. Yeah, where he's describing it. Anything like a piranha, but it's hungry like a piranha. Oh, you know what? I honestly, one of the coolest shots of the critters in the movie is when the stormtroopers come in and they're surrounded, and the last shot before it cuts away with the critter's mouth just coming at the screen, really bloody.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's
I like
really
that.
good shot in the movie.
I wish it wasn't kind of blurred up with like the stormtrooper's mask.
Yeah, I know, but it's still a good shot. I said in a past podcast that I think the critters look best in part 2, but honestly, I think they look best in part 4.
Whichever movie we're talking about at the time.
Yeah, it might be. I think they look the worst in part 3.
Man, I think they look the best in part 3.
Yeah, I know you do. I know. I don't know why. There's a few shots in the first one where they look kind of stupid.
Yeah, the one in part 1, the critter that's inside the truck when they go to get the keys for the truck, and it's like, bah!
Yes, what is up with that one? It's only used in that shot too.
It's like I call that the retarded one, retarded cry.
It's so big. It's so big. It's a lot bigger than the other ones. I don't know. I think it has a bunch of like wires in its mouth when it opens its mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one looks really stupid. I'm glad someone else agrees with me on that.
It makes a weird noise too. It doesn't just like growl. It's just like bah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen someone use that before in a meme or something too.
Yeah.
I was like, oh God, why did they use that shot? Like, why?
It's the Canadian version of a critter. Like,
yeah, it's like the South Park Canadian version.
Yeah.
yeah, this big old flopping head. I know. And in all the behind the scenes shots I've ever seen, I've never seen that one that we're discussing. Like I've never seen it. Like there's that one shot of them holding like every single prop from the movie, and I don't see that guy in it, the big old fat Canadian one.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one on a behind-the-scenes photo or anything either.
Yeah, that's strange, isn't it?
If I have, maybe it's like its mouth is closed or something and not really paying much attention to it.
Yeah. So did you think of that other thing yet?
No. I've given up on that second one. I got the one out there, the main one, though, with the
All right, on that note, guys, probably not too much more to discuss. I'm sure we're forgetting some things, but
yeah.
More than anything, I hope we convince you to go back to this movie and stop saying that it sucks.
Yeah, I hope you guys give it a more chance. I know there's some people that talk about it on the message board or on the Facebook page, and they're like, I haven't seen it since I was a kid, and it sucks. And I'm like, well, give it another chance, please. Just go back and watch it. Maybe do a marathon with all 4 films, or just 3 and 4 back and forth, and see if you love this movie or like it a lot more than you did then.
I recommend watching it without the other movies, and so that it stands alone on its own experience. That's personally what I recommend for everyone to go back into this movie.
There you go, guys. Anything else to add for Critters 4, Sean?
No. The movie doesn't say kill more Krites. But I do.
What is the deal with the title of the movie exploding with like a star or something at the opening scene?
Yeah, I don't know. It was a random one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like an actual explosion that they had that they like superimposed into it with just the title. And it's like, why? Okay, well that kind of sets up like the ending of the movie there.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is Critters 4 is the best Western movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Oh man, on that note, kill more Krites.
I just noticed something, Sean.
What?
At the end sequence, I have the movie playing on the background. At the end sequence, when they're running to get off the ship, and you see Ugg come out for the first time, and they like Albert's character is like stopping everybody from going any further. He puts his hand up and he gropes Fran.
Really?
Yeah, I never noticed that. I just happened to look up at the screen right at this moment, and I was like, huh.
Who gropes Fran?
Albert.
Albert does?
Yep.
Perverted son of a bitch.
It was totally it's like the whole car seat thing. Whenever like you slam on your car seat or your car brakes, and you like put your hand in the passenger seat to like stop them from moving forward, and like your hand is immediately over top the breast.
Yeah. He was just looking for an excuse. Oh, shit.
Yeah, so Critters 4, a very, very underrated movie, looked down upon because there's not very many critters in it, especially in the first half of it. But give it another chance, guys. I think you'll like it a lot more if you go into it a different way.
Yep, I believe in it.
And here's to hoping that it's not the last film in the franchise.
I still want it to be the last. I still want it to be the end.
Yeah, I agree, and I know where you're coming from with that, but I mean, like,
Yes.
movie-wise, like, I don't want it to be the last movie.
Yes.
Hopefully this
Right.
series makes another film out of it, or spin-off or something.
Yes. And the question that I would like to ask people listening, even if you really don't find the movie entertaining, do you still like the plot and the way that it ends the story? I think that's the question that I would like everyone to ask themselves, because even as a kid, thinking that I didn't like the movie, I still did like the plot and the way it ended.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always felt that way. So I'd like to know what everyone else feels as well.
I agree. I want to know too. So, you guys, whenever I post this on the Facebook page, please comment down below and let us know.
Yep. And we'll see you next time, guys.
Yep. And kill more Krites.
Kill more Krites.
See you guys.
Yep.